Argel Tal looked into the demon's eyes for a long, long moment. In the mismatched depths, he once more saw Lorgar abase himself in the dust. He felt the deceitful Emperor's psychic gale throwing him from his feet, casting him to the dirt before the Ultramarines. He felt the serenity of standing in the city of Grey Flowers, knowing beyond doubt that his cause was holy, that his crusade was just. How long has it been since he'd felt such purity of purpose?
Conchiel Squad.
Argel Tal spoke into the Vox.
Make your way to the Gila Generation on Deck 3. Squad Valash. Move to support Conchiel.
Affirmations crackled back.
Sir.
Asked Sergeant Conchiel.
We have all heard as you heard.
The captain swallowed.
Destroy the Gillerfield generator. That's an order. All ward bearers stand ready.
91 seconds later, the ship gave the slightest rumble beneath their feet. 94 seconds later, it pitched to starboard, wrenched from orbit by the storm's rage, drowning in the thrashing tides. 97 seconds later, light died on every deck, bathing the crew and their Astartes protectors in the red gloom of emergency sirens. 99 seconds later, every Vox channel erupted in screaming. Ingathel uncoiled itself and launched forward, reaching for Malnor first. Zaphen lay dead at the creature's feet. His spine twisted, his armor broken, a death that showed no peace in rest. A meter from his outstretched fingers, his black steel Crozius rested on the deck, silent in deactivation. The corpse was called by its helm, its final face hidden, but the chaplain's scream still echoed across the Vox network. The sound had been wet, strained, half drowned in the blood filling Zaphen's ruptured lungs. The creature turned its head with a predator's grace, stinking saliva trailing in gooey stalactites between too many teeth. No artificial light remained on the observation deck, but starlight, the winking of distant suns, bred silver glints in the creature's unmatching eyes. One was amber, swollen, lidless, the other black, an obsidian pebble sunken deep into its hollow.
Now you,
it said, without moving its maw. Those jaws could never form human speech.
You are next.
Argel Tal's first attempt to speak left his lips as a trickle of too hot blood. It stung his chin as it ran down his face. The chemical-rich reek of the liquid, of Lorgar's gene-written blood running through the veins of each of his sons, was enough to overpower the stench rising from the creature's quivering, muscular gray flesh. For that one moment, he smelled his own death, rather than the creature's corruption. It was a singular reprieve. The captain raised his bolter in a grip that trembled, but not from fear. This defiance. This was the refusal he couldn't voice any other way.
Yes.
The creature loomed closer. Its lower body was an abomination splicing between serpent and worm, thick-veined and leaving a viscous clear slug trail that stank of unearthed graves.
Yes.
No.
Argel Tal finally forced the words through clenched teeth.
Not like this.
Like this, like your brothers. This is how it must be.
The bolter barked with a throaty chatter. A stream of shells that hammered into the wall, impacting with concussive detonations that defiled the chamber's quiet. Each buck of the gun in his shaking hand sent the next shell wider from the mark. Arm muscles burning, he let the weapon fall with a dull clang. The creature did not laugh, did not mock him for his failure. Instead, it reached for him with 4 arms, lifting him gently. Black talons scraped against the gray ceramite of his armor as it clutched him aloft.
Prepare yourself. This will not be painless.
Argel Tal hung limp in the creature's grip. For a brief second, he reached for the swords of red iron at his hips, forgetting that they were broken, the blades shattered, on the gantry decking below.
I could hear
His gritted teeth almost strangled the words.
another voice.
Yes, one of my kin. It comes for you.
This is not my turn work wanted.
The creature dragged the helpless Astartes closer, and burst Argel Tal's secondary heart with a flex of thought. The captain went into violent convulsions. feeling the pulped mass behind his ribs like a bunch of crushed grapes. But the demon cradled him with a sickening gentleness.
This is exactly what Lorvar wanted. This is the truth.
Argel Tal strained for a breath that wouldn't come, and forced dying muscles to reach for weapons that weren't there. The last thing he felt before he died was something pouring into his thoughts, wet and cold, like oil spilling behind his eyes. The last thing he heard was one of his dead brothers drawing a ragged breath over the Vox channel. And the last thing he saw was Zafin twitching, rising from the deck on struggling limbs. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. So today, I want to start us off with one of my favorite excerpts from possibly my favorite Warhammer book, The First Heretic. I chose this little part because, as you could tell, today we are painting one of the Possessed from the Chaos Space Marines. And for context, in that page that I read, that is essentially first contact with Astartes or humans or anybody in the warp confronting demons. And of course, the demons possess the Astartes. Now, these were the very first possessed Astartes called the Gal Vorbak. And the Gal Vorbak were very, very cool during the Horus Heresy. A bit different than the regular possessed, like the one that I'm painting here, because they were a much stronger union between the host and the demon, with also the ability to hide themselves and hide their mutations. Like you can see on this guy, he's got this one crazy power claw hand, these horns coming out and hooves and all this. The Gal Vorbak would kind of shrivel up, shrink back their demon parts and be able to walk around as a normal Astartes, as the demons would be within and even talking to them. Like in the book, the demon that possesses Argel Tal, in that page, its name is Raum, and there are many scenes where they're talking to each other inside of Argel Tal's body. After the Gal Vorbak, though, as we creep deeper into the lands of 40k, the demons aren't exactly so friendly. I mean, as you could tell by demons, and even the Gal Vorbak, it was not a pleasant agreement at all. The demons of 40k will forcibly take somebody's body. There is no real coexisting, but yet there are such people like this word bearer that I'm painting up that are excited for the opportunity. It feels like a blessing to them that it's a blessing in quotes. In these possessions, they will grant the user like amplified speed, strength, power, warp abilities. They will be stronger than normal Astartes by a lot. The Gal Vorbak were still on another level where they were able to like 1v1 multiple Custodes. They were crazy. These ones are a little bit lesser demons, but they are still a lot stronger than the average Astartes. And as I'm rambling on about this, I wanted to bring these up because this Possessed here is being painted for a current 40k crusade that I am starting just this weekend, a Pariah Nexus campaign that I'm very hyped for. I am building a Chaos Warband using the models that I've been painting in all of my Chaos Marine videos and all this good stuff. Alright, Editing Kyle here with a quick thing to add that I forgot to mention. Why would demons want to possess people instead of using their own strength and having to deal with fighting human souls, even though that's a thing they like to do? The demon's main goal is to gain material form. Because I know there's all the images of demons taking the field and all this stuff. Now, in the lore, that doesn't really happen that way, usually. Now, it definitely does. But it is very, very difficult for things from the Immaterium and the Warp to come through into the physical realm. It has to be very dramatic and intense rituals, to tear the layers and the fabric of reality, to maybe let a demon in for a short amount of time. Like, it has to be a really big thing, unless they are bonded in somebody's soul, essentially. So demons want to possess people to have a lock in to the physical world. And now that we kind of have a idea of possessed Astartes, I guess the concept isn't really that foreign. If you've seen any horror movies with a possessed person, just imagine that inside of a mega 7-foot tall super soldier. I guess that's kind of the right idea. But there are some interesting distinctions and interesting versions too. You have the OG Gal Vorback that I keep bringing up, but they are a big deal. Mega strong, the predecessor, and the initial union of demons, right? Very great. As time passes, you get more of these normal possessed, but now there are also other kinds, like the World Eaters. They have a new unit when their models came out relatively recently, called the 8-Bound and the Exalted 8-Bound. Now, if I'm being honest, I am not the biggest on the lore of these guys. Because, well, they are called the 8-Bound because it is one of those things where Warhammer tends to ride a very fine line between being so stupid that it's awesome, or it could just be stupid with a lot of things. I think the 8-Bound to me don't quite get as rule of cool wacky as they should. I think the models look cool. But lore-wise, they are called the 8-Bound because they take an Astartes, like one of their chosen warriors, right? And they shove 8 Khorne demons, bloodletters essentially, into this man's body. Because 8 is the number of Khorne, of course, but like this model that I'm painting has 1 demon in him, and you can see the mutations. So yeah, it just sounds like too much for no reason when you know what the one demon can do. It's like, why'd you pick 8? I don't know. It doesn't really work for me. But the regular 8-Bound is where the demons are wrestling with the mind of the Khorne Berserker. Then there's the Exalted 8-Bound, where the soul, I suppose, and the spirit of the Astartes wins and controls and uses the demon's power. It's, in the world of 40k, that one's a little too much. I don't exactly like the idea of one man being able to overpower 8 demons like that. But the models are still cool. Another form in the similar vein of possession would be a Chaos Spawn. Now, these nasty little freaks are what happens when Chaos tends to lose control in a person's body through random mutations like what happened with the Thousand Suns, or perhaps the vessel of the Astartes that they tried shoving a demon in just couldn't hold it and exploded in warp energy, creating this weird tentacle, like something straight out of The Thing type of monster. They're pretty neat. I like a good Chaos Spawn. If you know your 40k or you know your 40k models, you might be wondering, what is the difference between somebody who is possessed by a demon and a demon prince? A demon prince also looks like an Astartes, but demon-y and bigger, right? So the difference is pretty simple though. A demon prince is when a mortal is bestowed demonic power from their chosen chaos god, like where Khorne himself gave a little tap on your forehead and said, here, have a 1/1,000,000th of my power. And of course, to a human, that they are buff as all heck after that. Now, still, a demon prince, definitely not nearly on the level of a greater demon. I know sometimes that is a question, where the greater demons, like the Lords of Change, the Bloodthirsters, the Great Unclean Ones, the Keeper of Secrets, these are actual, like, slivers of the main chaos god. So there are like tiers to this level of demonic possession into entities. And now that I think we kind of got an idea of the very basics of the demon human coexisting-ish thing, I guess that's the way to put it, I thought I'd explain a little bit about my paint job here too, because now you've seen a couple videos now how I've painted my current Chaos Army, but I thought I'd take you through the process. Relatively simple, but very effective, I think, at adding this very dark, moody atmosphere with this purple lighting that's going to be on this guy. To start off, people complain about Chaos Trim. The best thing that I find is to hit it with the black primer. The black primer is by far the best for putting under metallics. Then I dry brush a darker metallic, like on this guy I did Pro Acryl's Dark Silver. Then I took Pro Acryl's regular silver, did a lighter dry brush on the more raised bits. So immediately all of the edges and spikes and trim are shaded, highlighted, ready to go, right? All the annoying details. They look cool, so it's worth doing, but they are very tedious to paint otherwise. Then from there, for my word bearers, I like using Vallejo's Burnt Red to get this really dark red brick color. So then easy enough, we go in there and we paint all of the things that aren't trim, right? Not too bad. Did some dark sand from Vallejo on all of the bone protruding bits. And on this guy for the skin, I believe it was Night Questor Flesh on the fleshy bits. Definitely either that or Bugman's Glow. Honestly, I am a terrible YouTube painter right now because I forget which skin I used, but I always use one of those or Cadian Flesh Tone. So it's definitely one of those three. Citadel, I will complain about their little paint pots, but they make amazing skin tones. The skin tones and Moot Green and Screamer Pink, worth getting. Love those colors. But alas, after we put these colors on there, oh, and some ivory for his little dick towel situation. After we put these colors on, we of course hit him with a purple oil wash. Standard stuff here. You guys have probably heard me ramble on about oils in the Trench Crusade video. If this is the first one you find, oil washes are a hero because, as you can see, before I go into oil washes, I lightly highlighted the trim, and then it's just very basic base coats. Now for my Possessed, I have 10 of these guys. I don't want to spend the same amount of time as I did painting Huron or my Dark Apostle or anything like that. But we still need them to look cool and moody, and I have some cool lore cooked up for this warband, and I need them to fit that dark, edgy vibe, right? The purple I'm using is from Winsor & Newton, the Winton oil color. It's a dioxazine purple. Mix that with a little bit of mineral spirits. Douse the model. Wipe it off with a Q-tip. Easy enough. Or those little makeup sponges work very, very well too. I actually prefer them. I just ran out and didn't order more yet. That immediately just sets the whole tone, takes it from decent base coat to the model is shaded, highlighted, finished, has depth because the purple in the shadows makes a layer of visual interest that you're not going to get just using Nuln Oil or Agrax. Throw those things out, please. You will instantly level up your painting. But aside from me rambling on about oil washes again, I have a whole video on that. We won't get back into it. Let's head over to the spinny shots. Well. Another model in the books. I am really liking how this warband is turning out. I'm very excited to be painting more of these. And I have a gang. I got to finish up my 1,000-point list to start this crusade. So I'm caught between, I want to give you guys some variety, but also I'm painting a lot of these guys. So we might dive into some more Chaos Marine lore, I mean, I love the dudes anyway, so it is an easy thing for me to ramble on about. Aside from that, we do have some exciting projects in the works that I believe might slightly venture out of lore, because I do want to do things like dioramas. I've got a couple plans for that, plus I've got minis collected to build the dioramas, so I might do videos on those. I also happen to get the Trench Crusade STLs for the Heretic Legions and the Trench Pilgrims. So as soon as I get my 3D printer set up, those guys are going to be printed. We're going to be doing videos on them and diving into Trench Crusade lore, which is mega dope. I also happen to have a Skaven army that I'm going to be doing a huge batch paint on, and a Death Guard army that I'm going to be doing a huge batch paint on. I am tired even just saying that out loud, but it is a new year. Yeah, Happy New Year. I probably should have started the video with that. I have some big plans that I'm excited for. Thank you all for listening to me yap on about this for so long. But what are your goals for this year? Do you have any initial hobby projects that you are diving into? I would love to hear about them. And also, I'm curious, out of those armies that I might have mentioned, like Skaven, Death Guard, Chaos Marines, are there any models or legions or clans or anything specifically that you guys want to see videos on? Because I will be doing all of them, but maybe we could push one to the top of the list. Anyway, before I make you guys watch this guy spinning in circles for about 10 years, thanks for watching. Give me a subscribe if you haven't yet. We will be doing more videos very shortly. Any likes, comments, all that are appreciated. If you don't hang out with me on Twitch, give me a follow on there. I stream 3 or 4 nights a week over at twitch.tv/drinkyourpaintwaterlive. And it's an awesome time. And with that, I will see you in the next one.